The US Masters. It's one of the world's great tournaments. And today, Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen look at the Masters in a bonus episode of Talk Birdie To Me. But enough from me. Let's go to the legendary Jim Nance to get the show underway.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Butler Cabin and this tradition unlike any other, the Masters on CBS. You know how I feel about it, and you too. This is Christmas for me. And hello, friends. Jim Nance, along with Sir Nick Faldo, and welcome to this tradition unlike any other. Hello, friends. Jim Nance, along with Sir Nick Faldo, and this is the room where the green jacket will be presented. Yeah, there you go, right there, 6 feet apart. Hello, friends, and welcome to this tradition unlike any other, the Masters on CBS.
So as you can hear, it's Masters Week 2023. Welcome to Talk Birdie To Me. Nick, you are here and set to go. I'm excited. I'm excited for a few other reasons, though.
Just that iconic voice, though, from Jim Nance. You just know it's coming. I love it. I love it.
So much to talk about. One of the things I want to talk about is Nick Faldo's idea for slowing the ball down. It's the best thing I've heard.
I haven't heard this. I'm keen to...
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the best thing that I've heard.
Really?
And I don't think anybody could fix it.
Okay.
I think it would work. A significant reduction in distance off the tee. I'll get to that soon.
Okay, I want to know when that came out because I haven't even read about it.
Yeah, well, if you're addicted to the Masters like
Okay.
I am, I reckon I've watched every minute. You know, I've been working from home and I can see it all just happening in front of me. It's amazing. Anyway, I'll get to the Nick Faldo distance idea, which is a beauty soon. I want to talk you through what the chairman, Fred Ridley, the chairman of the Masters, chairman of Augusta National, has told the press that are attending Augusta this week. He has told every one of them. You can talk about Live versus PGA Tour day one.
Mm-hmm.
Day two, if it creeps in, we don't mind. But as soon as Wednesday comes, no more Live versus PGA Tour because we want people to focus on the golf and the Masters. That's it. That all makes sense to me.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is with the chairman, as he's called, or the Riddler, is the other name for Mr. Ridley. If you happen to talk about it after day two, what you're saying, guess what? You're not going to get your media credentials the following year. So everyone knows, and I like it. I mean, it's focused on the golf, and that's what the men at the Masters are all about.
So I want to ask you this question. And just as kind of coming in the background of this, Greg Norman didn't get an invitation to the Masters. Normally he does in some way, in some form or another.
As a past major champion, generally you all get an invite. I mean, I've seen Wayne Grady there over the years. Michael Campbell's there again this year because he won the US Open. But yes, I heard the comments that they didn't invite him because we wanted to focus on the golf, and him being here would take the attention off it.
And there are two reasons to invite Greg Norman, because they invite all the CEOs of all the other tours right around the world. Now, he's a CEO of a tour, so there's two credentials that he passed to get an invite, and he didn't. But at the start of the week, you and I both raised eyebrows where there was a suggestion that if a live player won the Masters this year, that the other 17 live players would be celebrating as one. Well, in a victory for live golf.
Well, apparently Cameron Smith didn't get the memo on that because he didn't know anything about it until it was brought up.
Okay, well, some of the other live players have said.
Okay.
I've seen them, so maybe Cameron didn't get the memo. I want to ask you this. Knowing, past chairmans like Hootie Johnson and the Riddler and others. Billy Payne. They don't like being crossed. If they say something, that is it. Now, to me, if Dustin Johnson goes on and wins this year's Masters, and you have 17 other live golfers running down to the 18th green, champagne in hand,
can you imagine? Cheering,
cartwheels, carrying on like they have won a premiership of some kind, I don't think the Riddler's going to like that one little bit. And I would not be surprised, I'm not going to say it's the end of it, but I would not be surprised one bit if that changes golf forever and there is a very different Masters next year as far as the live golfers are concerned.
Yeah, the criteria may change on the list that they just put out this past day or two for the 2024 Masters. And there's no mention of live, but there is also no mention of any other tour as well. They don't mention tours. It's just about how you qualify to get in. And if that does happen, that criteria could change.
That's going to change.
They will not be happy.
Oh, they would be filthy,
Furious.
Particularly after they've gone out of their way to tell everybody this week is not Live versus PGA Tour.
And the thing about the Green Jackets, as we call them, or the men at the Masters, they operate onto a different rule set. And let me tell you this story. I was playing, I think it was 2007 maybe, when they had some weather delays. Yeah. And play got forced into the Saturday, I believe. Is
that the Zach Johnson year?
It could have been. It could have been that year.
It was freezing.
Whenever the weather was horrific and we had to keep going. It might have been the DeMarco year, actually. It might have been when Tiger beat him in 2005, my first year there. And on the Saturday, we finished our rounds because the weather pushed us back, obviously, into the Saturday to complete the second round. The third round, we were all just warming up on the range. Guys in the Green Jackets come along going, "Are you ready?" Yeah, sure. Okay, you go to number 10. Are you ready? Oh, no, I'm not quite ready yet. Oh, okay, well, you can just keep hitting balls. Exactly. That's what I said. I said, what's happening here?
That doesn't work.
Well, what we're doing is we're just getting players out on the course just to get them going, and then the final few groups we're going to do in the correct order. So basically, they had players teeing off not in the correct order during this year. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Just get out and go.
Kind of. It was a bit like the old Saturday comp. Are you ready? Yeah, let's just get out and have a go.
You can go now.
I don't know how many groups they did it for, but I remember them coming along the range. So that's just the way they operate. It's just they do things however they want. So, and I got a bit off tangent there, but if that happens with the live golfers, look out.
Hey, while we're talking about your experiences at Augusta, I've just come from my living room and I watched a recording of the par 3 competition. Now, if you don't know already, Seamus Power made back-to-back hole-in-ones. He had a hole-in-one on 8 and then went on to have a hole-in-one on 9. And then I see where that's not an unusual thing. It's happened 2 times before, so I
couldn't believe that.
I can't believe it's happened 3 times now in the par 3 comp where people have had back-to-back hole-in-ones. You know more about it than anybody else in this room. Tell me what it's like, because I've been and watched the par 3 competition, I reckon, a dozen times. And to me, it's a celebration of golf. What's it like playing in it?
It's incredible. And you sort of need to time it, because it can be a very long celebration of golf if you get out there when Jack and Arnie and Gary and the legends are out there. Because if you get stuck behind them, they're doing autographs, talking to fans the whole way. It turns into a 3-hour round of golf, which you just don't want on the Wednesday before you play. So I used to try and get out there early, play with a couple of mates, some Aussies or whoever. But it was just one of those things that you have to do. You've got to do it. One of the years I had my brother caddy, and I think I had my dad and then some friends and so on. One regret is I didn't get my wife Alana to caddy for some reason. She just kept saying, "Oh, no, have someone else." And then obviously when I didn't get back, well, we didn't. But just on that par 3 competition in the 9th hole, Jack Nicklaus, do you know what his greatest memory of the Masters is? This is what he said his greatest memory is.
I know, but I won't spoil it. You go.
His grandson making a hole-in-one on that 9th hole, because you get the caddies to tee off on 9 if they can reach the green. And he made a hole-in-one. He said, "This is the greatest moment of my Masters career." And you're thinking, hang on, he's won 6 Green Jackets.
The putt on 17. Back in one of them, the big putt on 16 where he had the,
that was 17.
The putter in the air, all that sort of stuff. It's funny, because I saw it this morning. Because they replayed it. It is one of the greatest moments of the par 3 competition. There's no doubt about it. I've never seen Jack so happy. Yeah, when there's just pure joy in somebody's face. I mean, he must have been 75 at the time. The joy in his face when he saw his grandson do that. His grandson had a great swing too.
He did.
I wonder how he's going. I wonder how he's going these days.
Now, did Scotty Scheffler slam dunk one? Is that right?
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler slam dunked it. And
on the 9th?
There were 3 of them hitting in unison. They said 1, 2, 3, swing. Someone went early and 2 others hit at just the right time, and Scheffler's went straight in the hole. It was funny because there were a couple of balls there from the caddies they must have hit beforehand.
Right. And
a lot of us thought that must have been the ball, but then they slow-moed it and Scheffler's holed one out on 9 as well. The new 13th tee, now I've heard everybody talking about this. You tell me what it would have been like for you with that tee at, I think it's 560 instead of 510.
Yeah, well, they've moved it back 35 yards, this tee, but then they've also moved it back over the years as well. When I played there, if I hit my Sunday best, and again, I'm one of the shortest hitters on tour, I could have maybe a 5-iron. Mostly I had carried a hybrid or a 5-wood in there. Now, as a left-hander, off a downhill, ball below the feet.
Ball below the feet.
Yeah, and then trying to hit a draw to hold it up into that green. That was a nightmare shot with a long club. So what they're trying to do, and look, back in the day, before I got there, those are the sorts of clubs that players were hitting in there. I mean, I remember seeing Faldo stripe that 2-iron or whatever it is when he was playing with Norman in '96. And if you look over history, they've all hit 3-irons, 4-irons, always into those greens. Obviously, with technology now, the ball going so far, they're hitting driver wedges sometimes or 7 or 8 irons. That's just, it's kind of ruined. Well, it hasn't ruined the golf hole.
Bubba cut a driver and hit a gap wedge in one of the years that he won.
Yeah. And then Bryson was talking about, I'm going to hit it out onto the 14th fairway type stuff. Yeah. Remember that when he said it was a par 67? But as far as the ball goes now, I don't mind the change. And I saw some footage of it this morning. It looks as though it's been there for 50 years, this tee. And that's what they do there. They make things just look as though they're completely natural. Now, I think it's going to widen the hole out to the right. You won't see so many balls in the pine straw, so we may not see some people going from there. But everyone's now going to have to make a decision. They're going to have anywhere from 5 irons through to 5 woods, 3 woods going, do I take this on or do I lay it up? We're going to see a lot more 3-shot hole now.
Yeah, so tell me this, you'd know better than anybody. And you mentioned that 12's a great hole for par for left-handers. For lefty, yeah. But 13 is not a great hole for lefties. It's like,
if you're a long-hitting left-hander, yes.
The big cut.
The big cut works.
But if you're Nick O'Hearn or Mike Weir.
Yeah, we're struggling. Well, Mike Weir, I mean, famously...
He played well. He laid up every year?
Yeah, I think he... Or was that Zach Johnson?
No, Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson laid up.
On all the par 5s.
So you tell me, because you would have played with people who know what they're doing at that joint. When do you say no to going at it on round 1, round 2, round 3? I reckon round 4, there are going to be some situations where you're going to need to catch up. Yeah. You might be 3 behind. I've got to make an eagle to catch Rory, whoever it might be, right? Yeah. And you're forced. But rounds 1, 2, and 3, when have you got your hand on the 5 wood and the 9-iron, and you don't know which one to use?
Well, I'll give you a story about this, because my first Masters, I'm going to go to the 15th hole, the other par 5, right? And my caddy and I, we said, look, if we don't have 5 wood or lower, as in 3-iron, 4-iron, we're not going to this green. 3 wood, it's just not the play, because if you go long, you're dead. Short water, obviously. Yeah. First round, I'm playing there. The sun's setting in the background. I could sort of...
It's a postcard.
I could almost hear the ghosts talking to me. We get to my ball. Wilbur gives me the yardage, my caddy.
Was it sitting up?
And he said, it's sitting pretty good on the slight upslope. Yes. And he says, right, well, it's such and such, and it's a 3-wood, basically. He says, so, okay, we're going to hit 8-iron down here. We'll wedge it on from over, because we're working the angles.
Tough third shot, by the way.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Not many people understand how tough a third shot it is, but I won't interrupt your story. Continue.
Hardest wedge shot in the game, by the way. Yeah, off a downhill lie to a green coming at you. Don't want too much spin, all that.
TV doesn't know justice. When you're there, you actually see the difficulty in that third shot when you lay
especially when the pin's on the left. It is brutal.
Anyway,
however,
continue.
I said to Wilbur, give me the 3, but he says, no, Nick, we've spoken about this. We do not go at it. I said, Wilbur, I've been watching this golf tournament for 25 years on the TV. I'm going for it. And he goes, okay, it's your funeral. Sure enough, straight over the back. Yeah. Ended up getting up and down for par.
Did you?
Yeah, because he
for par.
For par.
So
I didn't get it onto the green.
Did you try to lay your chip up? Because I've heard players talking about this. When they're down near the pond, they actually on purpose lay up with a chip. Did you do that?
Yeah, well, I was trying to just dribble it on, and if it doesn't get on, I'm okay with that. I'm okay, because then you can putt from there, because you can't land it on and spin it, especially if you're more than 10 metres off.
Are you chipping into the grain?
Yes, it's all into the grain. That's the beauty of what they do. They always mow the grain into you wherever you are on the golf course. And it's
down grain running to the back pond.
Oh, yeah. And off the fairway, it's all running into you as well. So anyway, as we're walking off the green, Wilbur says, never again, right? And I said, no, never again.
All right.
But I got it out of my system.
15, that's a good one. But 15 is very different from 13. And right-handers, with the ball above your feet, what's the yardage? Round 1, 2, and 3. And I'll say not a conservative player, but someone who's centre. Not a lunatic like Phil, and not someone super conservative. Someone in the centre of golf where fair's fair. When do they go, give me the 5 wood?
Again, it's situational. I think first 2-3 days, maybe first 2 days, probably they won't grab it.
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday, if they think, okay, now's the moment I need to step on something here, then yes. What is the yardage? It's a tough one. It also comes down to the person. I mean, I watched Scotty Scheffler in the practice round trying to hit a cut off a ball which is way above your feet, and people don't realise how steep that slope is on 13.
It looks like it's about a foot above your feet when you've got an iron.
Oh yeah, it's incredible, and it's about where he was is about 200 yards. So I think he was hitting 4 or 5 iron, trying to hit a cut, and I think he hit into the bank, into the pond.
And if you're doing it with a wood, it looked like it would be more than a foot.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, because it's obviously further away from it. If the further left you can get that tee shot, the flatter it is near the creek. However, you're taking on the risk.
It's the perfect hole.
Yeah, it is.
It's the perfect hole.
And then you've also got overhanging limbs along the way, which you got to try and turn it around as well. It's
I didn't know about the overhanging limbs.
Genius. It really is genius. But the layups are even interesting as well, because you can go as far down on the right as some people. Sometimes you're actually almost trying to hit it into the patrons on the right.
Yeah.
You don't want to obviously hit it in on the full, but that's a great angle over there for like the back right hand pin and things like that. So it's one of the best designed holes in the world,
and one of the most beautiful. It's the best. It's been referred to a few times this week as the most important hole in golf, and I tend to agree with that because of what it teaches everybody else about this game. You take a risk, and then you take another risk, and you're in position to do something special. You take the game on, and you fail with shot 1 or 2, and it sets you back.
Yeah, no, it just teases you in so many ways. And one more story on the 13th from one of my memories. I've hit one of those shots where I'm trying to hit a big cut around the corner because I was feeling pretty good. Yeah. And halfway down in my downswing, I've gone, oh no, don't hit it right, and I've blocked it way left. I mean, way left. I am. There's the creek. Yeah. I'm about 20, 25 metres left of the creek.
You're in the azaleas.
I'm way up there. I was always curious to know what was up there, actually. And
what's up there?
Well, there's a couple of security guards, just keeping check on things. Find my ball, and it's like, I remember Lincoln Tie.
Yeah, it was one of those.
It was one of those in the what was it? The TPS Hunter Valley tournament.
Hunter Valley, that's right.
And I've got this one gap, and Wilbur.
How big's the gap?
Oh, it's about 6 feet.
6 by 6 feet?
Yeah, but it's at wedge height.
Yeah.
And it's about 50 metres in front of me.
It's doable?
Wilbur calls it one of my greatest shots I've ever hit. Put it back out in the fairway.
And did you have a full swing? Or
yeah,
I
had the swing, but I couldn't go sideways, couldn't go backwards. I didn't want to hit the tee shot again, and I just think, screw it, let's have a go. If that didn't come out, I would have been in there for days.
Okay, now I told you about the Nick Faldo idea.
Yeah.
And not only do I love it, Brandel Chambly loves it. McGinley loved it.
Ooh, okay.
Everybody loves it.
When they agree on something, that's always good.
So 13, the reason the 13th tee has gone back is because of distance. One of the things they can't do is they don't want to change the golf club because of what it does to manufacturers. Now they're begging golf balls to get this done. Nick Faldo came up with this suggestion. Why don't we change the length of the tee?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's instead of these superstar players with 9-degree drivers turn to 8 1/4 degree, and they have the ability to hit up on the ball. And when you hit up on the ball, there is less spin, and the ball just goes further. Now, I know in my own golf, Nick, there's a couple of holes. I play Kingston Heath. If I hit off the 7th hole and I want to keep it short of the bunker, to make sure of it, I tee it down because the ball's more likely to come off the bottom of the driver. If you hit off the bottom of the driver, it spins more. I've tested this on TrackMan ages ago. It took 12 yards off my carry. My carry.
Wow.
So that solidified it in my head, even the ones that I felt went really well.
I've heard similar ideas. I remember someone said, what about no tees, things like that. However, the only thing that is a danger in that case is what people may do is they may get the driver whacking into the ground and build up this nice 2-inch high little turf, and then put the tee on top of that, and now you're swinging up on it again.
If I'm doing the rules of golf, you can't alter the tee.
Sure,
yeah. You can't alter that line. But how tall?
So the face is going to be a lot shallower now rather than deep.
Yeah,
right?
And that's okay,
which is good
because that makes it smaller,
more of a 3-wood sort of style.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm all for it. I've always said, look, let's shrink the head of the driver, number one.
Yep.
So that way you won't be able to tee the ball up as high. You can do it if you want.
Yeah.
In that regard, but tee the ball down low. Remember the old persimmon woods? We used to tee them down low because if you teed those up high, anything could happen.
All right. Now this is my next question because I like your analytical mind. I like it. If you just change the length of the tee, so let's just call it, how big's that? 2 inches? What's a tee? I see 3 3/8 and all that kind of stuff. Let's say you can only make it 2 inches. The
2
tee
inches,
is 2 inches,
yeah.
just for
Like
this sake.
Like the old tees we used to have before they started making the long ones.
Well, maybe even 4. 5 centimetres is a lot.
Yep.
4 centimetres. So the tee's only allowed to be 4 centimetres.
It's going to be hard in soft
This
ground.
is a new tee. This is so tee manufacturers won't care because everyone's going to still use a tee. So there's no argument for them. In fact, we don't even care about tee manufacturers. You guys are a very small part of the game.
Yep.
What could the club manufacturers do?
The only thing they could possibly...
Could they complain? Could they complain and go, yeah, you can't do that? We've been designing these clubs for long tees. Could they do that? Or is that something that the rules of golf have just got... They can just do whatever the hell they like and stuff you.
Well, right now, is there a limit on tee height?
No.
There is no limit.
There is no limit.
Well, that's a simple change. I like that idea. What'll probably happen is, will golf manufacturers then, to get the ball launched a bit more, would they put more loft on the drivers?
Great.
Which will then make the ball not go as far.
Going to spin more?
Going to spin a little more. Yeah. Hey, I'm with you.
Are you,
I actually like
Are you on
this.
board?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am on board.
I like it.
Do you know what will happen, though, for golfers around the world? I think they'll start swinging better. I think you're
Now,
bread and butter golfer from... I know I will start swinging the club better.
Are we bifurcating, so pros only, or are we saying this all across the board?
I think we go across the board.
Ooh, okay.
You? Oh, yeah, I know. You
Yeah.
you haven't had much time to think of this. Most of the amateurs that I see, they don't tee it up high anyway. They're scared when I go and tee it up, because I always tell people to have half or 3/4 of the ball above the top of the driver. That's what I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
When I go and do that for somebody, they go, "Oh God, that high?" That's their initial reaction. I don't think it'll bother them. I don't think it'll bother your average golfer one little bit.
Okay, well, I'm not sure about that. So they need to tee it up as high as they possibly can. But this is about the Masters. When did he make these comments? Was this week at the Masters?
I think recently, because the way Brandel Chambly and McGinley, what's his first name? I should know.
Paul McGinley.
Yeah. Well, the way they were talking about it, it was news to them.
Right, okay.
So it was just in the background. Anyway, hey, there's so much more we've got to talk about. We've got to talk about the hopes of our Australian players. So have your palmetto cheese sandwich. Have you ever had one of those stupid sandwiches at the Masters?
Pimento
cheese.
That's the one.
Palmetto.
Oh, you have to.
Palmetto's the golf course
yeah.
that's close by. Pimento cheese. Did you like it?
And then the peach cobbler. You got to have one of those too.
Oh, mate, I'm just happy with a little packet of M&Ms. That'll do me. And a beer and one of those horrible hamburgers. So get one of those down your throat, and I'll see you on the 10th tee in a tick.
Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen talk more US Masters right after this. You're listening to the Talk Birdie To Me podcast with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen. If you're enjoying the pod, share it with a friend and help spread the word.
Okay, let's get moving here. We move over to the 10th hit. Fades off the 10th tee at Augusta, do you?
Oh, yeah, you have to. It's a sweep. Now, that hole does favour, I think, a right-hander because you can really hit the slinging hook.
The big slinger.
But every now and then I used to hit the neck, the necky fade.
Yeah.
And then you're halfway down the hill and I've got 5-wood in there and I'm like, my goodness.
Off a downslope?
Oh, yeah,
in the rough?
absolutely. It's just horrible.
Hey, just while we're talking about the rough, not long ago they made a decision to make the rough a little bit longer. When you played in the noughties, how long was the rough at that stage?
Oh, well, yeah, I was around, when was I? Mid-2005, 8, 6, 7, 8. So I played 4 in a row.
Long enough to lose control?
Yeah, yeah. But they don't need rough. I mean, I'm all for, I wish they'd shave it all down so that way you go into the pine straw. I mean, I think that would make for some fascinating viewing out of a lot of the pine straw, especially on like holes like 9 down the hill, because they're running into the first cut and then it stops them from going in, things like that. So anyway, did you hear Gary Player's comments at the start of the week?
No, look,
or maybe
I've seen bits and pieces, but it's. Yeah, have you got his quotes?
I've got a couple. I'm actually surprised he's going to do the ceremonial tee shot after
what he said.
After what he said. But anyway, a couple of his quotes were, "If it wasn't for the players, it would just be another course in Georgia."
Yeah, that's a bit silly.
That's a bit oof. And he said, "Here's another one." And he's talking a bit about he has to beg to get on to play with his grandkids and all this sort of stuff. He's not very welcome there. I haven't got that quote, but one of the things. and he's talking about his experiences there and how basically good he is. One thing about how good he is. One thing about Gary is that he doesn't he must have lost the humility gene somewhere along the line. I don't know. But his final comment was, "There's no golfer who's ever had a tougher life than I have. I've won more tournaments than any man alive. I've won more National Opens than Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and Arnold Palmer put together. I've done remarkable things."
Gaz.
He's quite the fella. And he was my captain at the President's Cups and things like that, and I've got the utmost respect for him. But when he's saying different things about Augusta and the golf course and the tournament and what his son did, obviously, a couple of years ago on that ceremonial opening tee shot, it is amazing that he's even going to be there to hit that opening shot. It's a bizarre thing.
Can I tell you one thing about Gary Player that always sticks in my mind? And it won't be what you think it is because of the left-handed putt that he hit to the side of clubhouse.
Oh, that one. Okay.
I mean, that's for other people. But the one thing that sums Gary Player up to me is that back in the day when you won the British Open, it was up to you to put your name on that trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Player put his name in twice as big a font as everybody else. Now,
so I was wondering why his name was so big on the Open, and then
back in the day, you got the trophy. There wasn't an engraver there, and it was you took the trophy home, and it was up to you to get your name engraved on it. And Gary Player put his name
almost
twice as big. I saw it again. I saw it today.
And did you see the?
I saw it today. I'll get it for you.
Did you see the signed Champions dinner menu from Tuesday night?
And yes, in the same tweet, and it was twice as bold. It was.
He's gone for the thick Sharpie right in the middle, right over the Augusta National logo. Everyone else is signed nicely in pen or biro down the sides in smaller. With a smaller utensil, I guess you could say, and looks very neat and tidy. And there's Gary in the middle in the real thick Sharpie. He's quite the guy.
I've got to show it to you.
Yeah, there it is. That's unbelievable.
Right before Kelnagel.
So that Champions dinner,
yes.
I mean, menu is just incredible, and everyone obviously gets the invitation. Every player, and I've got a few at home. By the way, I'm going to tweet one out of what it looks like. Although everyone's sort of seen it anyway. It's always on social media.
Angel Cabrera couldn't make it this year.
Maybe the invite didn't reach where he was staying.
The prison that he's in at the moment.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah. Now, okay, before we go on, Mark, is this rumour true?
No.
Okay, I'm talking about you here. When you were over there doing all the media work and everything, did you miss your tee time for Augusta National?
No,
you didn't. Okay.
But there is a story.
I have been told that you went in that, what is it, the lottery that they put in?
So what happened was, in 2002, I was doing the coverage for Channel 9.
Okay.
And about 3 days in, the boss of Channel 9 Sport, his name was Gary Burns, he came up to me and goes, "Hey, mate, we love what you're doing. We want you to be our golf guy." He goes, "So much so, we actually get a spot on Monday, and we want you to play." And I've gone, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Yeah, we want you to play." And I said,
"There you go.
Oh, how good is this?" Right? But it was the wettest year of all time, 2002. It was Adam Scott's first year. He finished in the top 10, by the way. And the place smelt. It was disgusting, but I was still really excited. Anyway, I was going to catch up with some of my old college buddies from Texas Tech. Just one buddy.
Sure.
Kevin Youngblood. So I called Kev and I go, "Kev, sorry, mate, I can't come see you. I'm playing Augusta." And he goes, "No, you can't." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Mate, we've organised a reunion for you." Oh. He said, everyone's coming to Dallas to see you. You can't. Anyway, so I've gone back to Gary Burns and I told him the story. And he goes, "Mate, not a problem. We'll see you back here next year. Next year, bring your clubs, bring your shoes. It won't be as wet. You're going to love it." I said, "Beautiful." So I did the US Open, the PGA, the Open Forum all that year.
Yeah.
At Christmas, Gary Burns got the sack.
Oh, no.
The boss of Channel 9 Sport. Oh. The new boss was another guy called Gary, and I called him straight away, and I told him about it. He goes, "Yeah, no worries, son. So I was still on the plane. 2 weeks before the tournament, I swear to God, I'm polishing my shoes, I'm polishing my clubs, and I've told everybody I know that I'm playing Augusta on the Monday. And the Iraqi war broke out.
Oh.
And they called me and said, "Sorry, mate, we're only sending a skeleton crew."
Oh, no.
And I never worked for Channel 9 again.
No.
So the only time I had a chance to play Augusta, I went to a party instead.
But was the reunion worth it? Was it good?
That was a great reunion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
fantastic. Yeah.
Right. Well, okay.
Anyway, so it's similar. You're sort of right.
Someone told me that at a golf day at Kingston Heath the other day. Just ask Marco about missing his tea time. I thought, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. So,
no, I went to a party.
Good.
I went to a party instead.
Very
Hey,
good.
I want to get your prediction for who's going to win this thing soon. But let's talk about our Australians while we can. Let's start with the number one, Cameron Smith. He's only played 3 tournaments since fishing and carrying on with family back here in Australia. 3 tournaments. They've all been live tournaments. Is that
He
a good
did
enough?
play 4. He played one in Saudi Arabia, but he missed the cut.
There you go.
Yep.
His form has been, I'm going to say, spasmodic to poor for Cameron Smith. What are the chances he can just click the fingers? Because he does love Augusta National. I think he's had 3 top 5s here since he's been playing.
Yeah, he loves it. He's had that runner-up, obviously, when Dustin Johnson won, but it's going to be a big ask. I think coming in last year, he said he'd played basically the same amount of events coming into Augusta, which is not quite true. I think he played 18 competitive rounds. This year, he's only played 11, 9 live and 2 when he missed the cut, obviously. So, and he's had, 6th, I think, 26th and 29th. So the form is not there. Can he switch it on?
Going from live crowds to Augusta crowds.
Yeah.
I
think if he finishes top 10, that'll be a really good result for him.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Top 10's is a win.
Yeah. I don't see him winning, but never say never.
Adam Scott?
Yeah, Scotty's, 10 years anniversary, right? Maybe that'll tingle something in him.
Got Steve Williams back this week?
I think he gets him back for the majors every time. And, the way he swings it, how can he ever not hit the ball well?
That's right.
It's really all dependent on the putter for him, I'd say. But how old is he now, Scotty? He's into his 40s.
41, 42, something
Which
like
is
that.
okay because he's still fit and strong and everything. But does he have it still to compete against all these young guys coming through? Again, it'd be a very big ask for him to win.
It's got to be an off the charts hitting show for Adam Scott because he hasn't got your short game, Nick.
Oh, putting for Scotty. If he puts the lights out, yes,
but
definitely.
Even the chipping, I don't think it's not as sharp as Scheffler. It's not as sharp as some of the others. So his hitting has to be one out of the box for him to be up there, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, our biggest hope is Jason Day at the moment. The way he's been playing, coming into this, started outside the top 100 in the world. Now, 35-ish, I think, in the world. 4
top 10s in a row, followed by a top 20, followed by getting to the quarterfinals of the Accenture.
Hasn't finished outside the top 20 this year. That is incredible. And he has the game where he's got things under control. Ball striking's good. He's lost a bit of distance. He did say that, but that's okay around here because he's still long enough. And
changed his driver shape, not hitting draws, hitting fades now.
Fades, good. Yeah. And that's one of the things people talk about with Augusta. You need to shape the ball off the tee. Not so much anymore. You can just smash it now because you're just trying to reach the corner half the time. You might need to hit a fade or a draw here. Like 14, yes, you need to work on around 10. You need to hit the big slinging one, but. Other than that, a fade works all the way around. It's more a second shot golf course where then you do need to work the ball, and then it's obviously up to the putter.
Can he win if he's in position?
Definitely.
I think yes.
Yeah, definitely.
It's amazing, this place, because of all the majors, there's more 2-time Masters winners than any of the other majors put together. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, it does suit a certain type of player. But 2, there's usually only 90 to 95 players in the field at the Masters, and of those 95 players, only 60 can win. So you've actually got a much smaller group of players to play against. So, well, let's say 50 then. There's only 50 blokes in this tournament that can win. So that's why people who play well here and people who win here quite often win twice.
Yeah, and to that point, I think come the back nine on Sunday is how they like to say it, how many actually believe they can win. Scotty Scheffler was number 1 in the world last year, and going into the final round, he didn't think he could do it.
Yeah.
And then obviously his wife had a conversation with him about, because he's a very religious guy, and they trusted their faith in the Lord and all that sort of thing, which is fantastic for him, and it got him over the line. But I only think there's probably a dozen players that actually believe they can win. So we'll see come back nine Sunday, obviously.
I think Jason Day believes he can win.
Yes. No, I totally agree. Minwoo Lee, what do you think?
Well, I think the golf course suits his style of play. But I think a top 20 is a win.
Well, he
for Minwoo Lee.
Tied 14th in his first appearance last year, so he's got the feel. And that's the one thing about Augusta. There's no substitute for experience. The best thing I ever did, first year I went to Augusta, I went straight to the caddy shack before I'd played, and I said, who's your best green reader amongst your local caddies? And they said, oh, it was, what was his name? I think it was like Jackson or someone like that. He came out with me and my caddy, and I said, you're going to walk 18 holes with me and you're going to show me every pin position where they put it. The best money I've ever spent.
Wow.
I mean, he walked around us for 3 or 4 hours.
How much did that cost you?
I can't remember.
500?
A few $100 or something. I don't know, whatever it was. But it was the best advice and most valuable information I got at Augusta, because I kept everything he told me in the yardage book every year. Now, they
have you still got that yardage book? I'd love to see it.
I've still got them, yeah, for sure. Maybe I'll tweet that out later.
Maybe tweet a few pictures of that out with Jackson's advice.
Oh, yeah.
What was the one thing that surprised you the most that Jackson, I'm sure, can you remember one tidbit?
The one thing he said is every year they relay the greens.
They relay them.
Well, they dig them up, they relay them. And then what they do is they might flatten an area or just put a subtle slope in an area, which then changes the way a certain putt will read. And he said all the caddies that are local, they have to relearn the greens every year, because every now and then, and there was a putt on 10 this particular year, the front left-hand pin position, he says, look, it looks as though it wants to go right, but they flatten this area, now it goes straight, and I've hit this putt, and I'm looking at it going, no, this is a cup left. It's got to go left to right. Went dead straight. And he says, yeah, they're sneaky. They do that to us every year. So we actually think it should turn, but then, hang on, no, but then we have to relearn the greens. So it was brilliant stuff.
I reckon Minwoo Lee would have got a lot of finishing, playing in the last group of the Players' Championship. So I think that was big, but I still think you just keep on finishing in the top 20 and you'll get your chance eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
So, look, I'd love to see him in that top 20 again and at least get his ticket back next year. What is it, top 12 or top 8?
Top 12 now, Used to be top 16. And then we've got the amateur Harrison Crow.
Yeah. Hasn't been playing well ever since he hasn't been like in our tournaments.
Okay.
We haven't seen him.
No, we haven't, have we? I haven't kept up to date with how he's been playing.
Hasn't played in them all, but, you'd look for someone who's won the Asian Pacific Amateur Championship to feature in some of our events.
He hit it to a foot on the 12th in the practice round, I saw. That was a great shot we saw on the news coverage. But he did stay in the Crow's Nest, I believe, on Monday night after the amateur dinner as well. So.
Now, I've got one thing to say about the draws that our Australian players have got.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon Billy, what's his name?
Fred Ridley.
The Riddler. The Riddler's taken the P1SS. There is no doubt about it. Because it is Larry Miser's last ever Masters, and he's paired them with 2 Australians. Not 1, 2. So the nightmare that was Larry Mize chipping in on Greg Norman, they've had a look at that. They said, Larry, it's your last ever Masters, and to really stick the knife into all Australians, we're going to put you with 2 of them. So he's playing with Minwoo Lee and Harrison Crow.
It happens that way. They just do. I played with Ben Crenshaw when he was way past the end of his career. But he couldn't hit it out of his shadow, but the putting display was just unbelievable.
You were out driving him?
Oh, yeah, yes. That's how short he was.
How far past gentle Ben were you?
I was 20 or 30. So
he was very gentle.
He was very gentle at that stage. However, he never missed a putt outside 10 feet. It was ridiculous.
All right, we're going to give our predictions. Let's go for top Australian first.
Top Australian, well, it's hard to go past Jason Day for me. Yep.
I'm in the same. I think Jason Day is going to feature.
Okay.
And listening to him talk about, back in the old day, he had this belief that under pressure, the harder you swung at it, the better he played.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever said that before in the history of golf, I don't think, by the way. I don't think it's possible for that to happen. He has changed his mind, and he won't be going at it as hard in pressure situations. And he credits hitting the fade a big part of that. So I love where his mind is at, and I think you're right. I think Jason Day is going to be our leading Australian. Who's going to win this thing?
Well, my heart is saying Rory. I'd love to see him complete the Grand Slam, but it's so hard to go past Scheffler at the moment. He's just playing some phenomenal golf. I've got a couple of dark horses, though, in Max Homa. I think he's long enough, obviously, even with the wet conditions coming, playing amazing golf. He hasn't played well in majors, though. That's the only concern. The guy who hasn't really had much form coming in, but always plays well in majors, and his one concern is his putting, is Will Zalatoris. So look out for him as well.
You reckon Will? Okay. I know he's having some putting issues, Will Zalatoris.
But in the majors, he shows up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He lives for these, and that's what it's all about.
That is true. I've got a little bit of intel about Jordan Spieth.
Ooh.
So I still have friends in Dallas, and I still have friends in Dallas where Jordan Spieth's coach is working. Jordan Spieth's put on 5 miles per hour club head speed. He's now up to 117 miles per hour, which is really
impressive,
good.
Yeah.
Okay, for someone.
But is he hitting it straighter? And
the most important thing is the swing changes have slotted in. and he's not even close to working as hard on them. In fact, the swing changes are at a point now where it's just down to he's thinking about 1 or 2 things and not about 6 like he has been,
yeah.
which you can do in professional. I mean, believe it or not, you get good at thinking about 3 things while you swing. But they've slotted in. And for the last 2 weeks, this is the most important bit. He was already number 16 in strokes gained, getting up and down, whatever it is. He's been working hard for 2 weeks to sharpen up his short game. So, to me, Jordan Spieth is the best value. If you're just looking at value, I think you can find him at $18. I think he should be
Is he really?
10 or 11 or $12 because he loves his place. He plays well here. And he's sharpened himself up to a point where he's irresistible to me.
And one final prediction.
Yes.
The cat. What do you think about Tiger?
I think Tiger. I think he's going to miss the cut.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
the weather's not in his favour.
The weather. Well, this.
The first day
track.
I think it is.
Yeah,
because it'll be warmer. But I think Friday over there is meant to be cold.
Yeah, they've changed the forecast for Thursday. So for round 1, it's going to be half decent
Pretty
conditions.
good.
Yeah, and then after that, they're thinking thunderstorms. So there might be some delays. I reckon he's done. I reckon he's done well to make the cut. That's just my personal view. Yeah. Anytime. I think he finished 47th last year. It's his worst ever finish.
Yeah.
But I do think he has to make the cut to tie 23 cuts made in a row, and that record is held by Gary Player and his mate Fred Couples. So
okay, he's definitely making the cut then.
He might want to. He might want to be.
Yeah,
a little
probably
bit
top.
special.
I mean, if he has a top 25 finish, it'll be unbelievable golf by him. Just because his body is going to struggle to hold up over the 4 days.
Hey, love talking golf with you, and I especially love talking about the Masters with you. And I can't wait to see what happens over the next 4 days.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and buy a green jacket, I think, just to watch it. I never won one.
Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen's podcast, Talk Birdie To Me, live from the Australian Golf Centre, home of the PGA of Australia and Golf Australia. Follow us on all the socials, and if you like the podcast, share it with a friend and let them know about Nick and Mark. Talk Birdie To Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design by Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com.
Oh, this is so exciting right now, isn't it? Hello, friends. Jim Nance, and welcome to CBS's coverage again of the Masters for this tradition unlike any other.